Hi guys, and welcome back to Mull. Uh, this is about take 5 for this one. I just come outside with my jumper on. Completely underestimated how cold it was, and basically, I think my lips froze and I couldn't get my words out. I was talking like a washing machine. So here we go. Um, today's message from Mull is all about sleep improvement. Now, lately we've been talking about how the nervous system gets ramped up when we're in long-term pain and how that can exacerbate the problem by altering our perception of pain. So those that are suffering with long-term pain and the sort of subsequent mental health conditions and anxiety tend to perceive their pain at a much higher level than others do because of the pain pathways. But one of the best ways to dampen that response and modify the pain levels within your body is to get a good night's sleep. So we often find that if people can start to sleep much better and get into a regular routine, then it has a more profound effect than painkiller medication. So here's Healthy Options top 6 sleep improvement tips for you guys. And the first one is routine itself. So getting to bed at roughly the same time and getting up at roughly the same time is probably by far the best tip that we can give you. So perhaps instead of setting the alarm clock to get up in the morning, we should also be thinking about setting an alarm to get to bed at night, because that's the point in time where we tend to let things slip a little. Quite often we'll just watch one more episode of that Netflix series that you're interested in at the minute. And just getting into that routine and setting up a nice steady circadian rhythm is one of the best ways to get a good night's sleep. So that should be your first port of call, really. The next one we're going to mention is caffeine. And I know a lot of us use caffeine quite strategically in the morning to get ourselves up and waking ourselves up, and that's fine. It's a stimulant, it has that effect. But something that a lot of people don't understand is that caffeine has quite a long duration of action. So it has a half-life of 6 hours, and sometimes that's a little bit longer as we get older. And we process caffeine less effectively. But that means it has a quarter life of 12 hours. Now, what that means is that if you have a cup of coffee at noon, then by the time you get to midnight, a quarter of that caffeine is still acting on your brain. So it's a bit like going to bed at midnight, turning the light off, and then swigging a quarter of a cup of coffee and expecting to get a good night's sleep. So the tip really is try to push your caffeine in the very early part of the morning and then try to go decaffeinated for the rest of the afternoon. You certainly don't want to be taking in caffeinated drinks late afternoon, evening time, and certainly not, just before going to bed, because what you're doing is putting a liquid into your body that keeps your brain awake and stops it going to sleep. Alcohol as well is another drink that sometimes people often think will help them get to sleep, a little nightcap perhaps. But alcohol has two real problems. One is that it will litter your night with little wakenings, so you don't actually get the proper sort of deep and more restorative night's sleep that we need. And the other thing is your body's trying to process the alcohol all night, so it's a bit like having the shutters of the factory are down, but everyone's still working inside, and that will quite often leave you quite fatigued the following day and very tired. And then we tend to go for more caffeine the following day to compensate for that fatigue, and you can see where I'm going here. We end up in a vicious circle, don't we? And the other thing about alcohol, by the way, is it strips us of our dream sleep, our REM sleep, and that's really important for making sense of the world. So for those that are suffering with any sort of mental health issues, be that just feeling a bit stressed or suffering with anxiety or depression, alcohol is not the sort of place you want to go to. It's not going to help the brain at all. In the evening time, if you're prone to having a bit of a nap and you struggle to get to sleep at your normal bedtime, try not to nod off watching EastEnders or maybe early evening time TV. and then expect to get a good night's sleep a bit later on. Because what happens is during the day we're building up something called sleep pressure, and basically that's a chemical that acts on your brain so that about 16 hours after you wake up it peaks, and it makes you do that sort of thing where you're ready to go to sleep. If you have a little nap in the early evening time, then you lose a lot of that pressure, which means it's very hard to get to sleep at your normal planned nighttime, bedtime, and you'll also be more prone to wakening up during the night. Get the tech out of the bedroom. So TVs, iPads, laptops, that sort of thing. Try not to take that to the bedroom. Try to have the bedroom as a place where you actually go to sleep. There's other jokes in there, but not going to rise to that at all. But try to get the technology out of the bedroom, because we get the blue light coming off the screen as well, and that tricks our brain into thinking that it's still daytime. So the brain isn't shutting down in the way it normally does and decelerating in the way it normally does. And also, if we're watching the latest Netflix thriller right up to the point before we go to bed, that's still whirring around your brain. So it's all about trying to decelerate in the evening. So get the lights down, perhaps put on some chilled out music. Try not to watch Die Hard or something like that to the last minute, because that's not going to let your brain decelerate and sort of tune down before we go to sleep. And finally, if you are lying in bed and struggling to get to sleep, after about 20 minutes, don't lie there any longer. Get up, go and do something that's not going to stimulate your brain too much. Maybe go and sit in a low light and read a book, listen to a little chilled out music, but don't lie in bed, and don't watch the clock. So if you're one of those that watches the clock and keeps looking across and thinking and getting more frustrated and thinking about the way you're going to feel tomorrow, turn the clock around so you're not looking at it. But get up. My advice would be to get up, do something low level, non-stimulating, and when you're ready to go back to bed and you're feeling tired, then go back to bed when you're ready to go and get to sleep. Each one of these in isolation may not change your world, guys, but the more of them you can put together, the more chance you get of getting a good night's sleep and turning down that nervous system a little bit and reducing the pain. Time to get the fire on, I think. Right, take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.